These are the most embarrassing deaths in Warhammer 40k. Number 6, Warboss Grizguts. If you're going to die as an orc warboss, at least make sure someone else does the killing. Grizguts was a warboss of the Dead Skulls clan, commanding a full WOG! That's a massive orc invasion force across multiple star systems. Orcs are a biologically engineered species built for war. Their society runs on one rule: the biggest and meanest orc is in charge. And Grizguts was the biggest and meanest. He had the guns, the boys, and the ships to prove it. Then his fleet dove into the warp, that alternate dimension the Imperium uses for faster-than-light travel, and came out the other side before they'd originally left. Time doesn't work properly in the warp. Grizguts' entire WOG had traveled backward in time and emerged in their own recent past. Now, any other species would have a philosophical crisis about this. The orcs did not, because standing right there was a past version of Grizguts, and past Grizguts was carrying a really nice gun. The exact same gun current Grizguts already owned, in fact, but he couldn't keep his sticky fingers to himself. See, Grizguts was a Death Skull, and Death Skulls are compulsive thieves even by orc standards, which is saying something because all orcs steal constantly. So Grizguts looked at his past self, looked at the gun, did absolutely zero thinking about temporal paradoxes, and killed his past self so he could have two of the same gun. The resulting paradox threw his entire WOG into total confusion. Thousands of orcs descended into infighting trying to work out what had happened, which for orcs is an almost impossible intellectual exercise. The campaign collapsed, and not because of Imperial resistance, not because of strategic failure, because the Warboss wanted a spare. Number 5. Anva. The Tau Empire runs on the idea that superior technology and rational planning will always prevail. Then their supreme leader got killed by one guy in a hallway. Anva was the Ethereal Supreme, the single most important individual in the entire Tau Empire. The Tau are a young alien civilization that believes in something called the greater good, a philosophy of collective progress powered by advanced technology. Ethereals are the ruling caste. Their word is absolute law. Billions of Tau would fight and die on a single Ethereal's command without hesitation, and Anva was the Ethereal of Ethereals. Top of the chain. His word could redirect entire fleets. So during the Second Agrellan campaign, Anva got stranded behind Imperial lines and took shelter in a hidden command bunker. The Imperium's response was not a fleet, not a bombardment, not even a platoon. They sent one Calexis assassin, that's a specialist operative from the Officio Assassinorum, the Imperium's assassination bureau. One human with specialist equipment walked into the bunker, killed the bodyguards, and killed the supreme leader of an interstellar civilization. And while that's embarrassing enough, what happened next is worse. The Tau refused to admit it. The Ethereal High Council decided that announcing their supreme leader had been killed by a single human infiltrator would shatter public morale and undermine the entire greater good philosophy. So they replaced Anva with a holographic projection running an AI simulation of his personality. New rules were quietly issued. Nobody was allowed to physically touch Anva or approach him without his honor guard present. The Tau Empire, a civilization built on the promise that technology and rational governance will solve everything, is now literally governed by a hologram because they'd rather run a puppet show than admit one guy with a funny helmet killed their god king. And if you think getting fooled by a convincing fake is exclusive to highly advanced alien civilizations, scammers are doing it to regular people with a single email. The good news is, unlike the Tau citizenry, you can actually do something about it, with today's sponsor, NordVPN. Phishing works exactly like the Anva situation. Someone builds a copy of something you already trust. Your bank, your email provider, Microsoft, puts it in front of you at the right moment and waits. The difference between account.microsoft.com and account.microsoft.com is one letter and your login credentials. That's the whole attack, and it works constantly on everyone because nobody's looking that closely. This is where NordVPN comes in. NordVPN's Threat Protection Pro catches this little letter change before you even land on the page. It scans links in real time, blocks known phishing sites, and recognizes brand new ones it's never even seen before using machine learning. You don't even need to connect to a VPN server, it just runs quietly in the background while you browse. One subscription covers up to 10 devices, so get an exclusive deal plus 4 months extra using my link. There's also a 30-day money-back guarantee, so no risk in trying it. Alright, back to the video. Number 4. Chapter Master Corvin Severax. Getting out-stealthed is embarrassing for anyone. Getting out-stealthed when stealth is your entire identity is something else. Corvin Severax was the chapter master of the Raven Guard, one of the most elite Space Marine chapters in the Imperium. Space Marines are genetically engineered superhuman soldiers. Chapter Masters are the best of the best, the finest warrior in a brotherhood of 1,000 superhuman killers. And the Raven Guard's whole thing is stealth. Infiltration, precision strikes, they are the Imperium's ghosts. If the Raven Guard are doing their job right, you're dead before you know they're in the room. Sevrax decided to personally assassinate Commander Shadowsun, a town military leader, during the fall of Prefectia. He planned an elaborate ambush, chose the approach vector, timed the strike, closed the distance without detection, and then he executed the assault perfectly. Clean kill, target down. Except it was a decoy. Shadowsun had deployed a customized battlesuit as a body double. The chapter master of the stealth chapter had fallen for a mannequin in a robot suit. While Sevrax was processing the fact that he just assassinated a piece of equipment, the real Shadowsun struck from inside a cloaked ghost-keel battlesuit and killed him. The master of the Imperium's premier stealth chapter was outstruck by a Tau commander using the oldest trick in warfare, a decoy. The 41st millennium equivalent of a master pickpocket, reaching for a wallet and finding a note that says, "Gotcha." Number 3. Konrad Curze. Most demigods who get assassinated at least have the excuse of being caught off guard. Konrad Curze ordered the drinks and held the door open. Curze was a Primarch, one of 20 genetically perfect superhuman sons of the Emperor, designed to lead entire Space Marine legions and conquer the galaxy. He was the Primarch of the Night Lords, a legion that ruled through absolute terror. Curze could see the future. He had reflexes that could dodge bullets. He could fight entire armies alone. He had skinned whole worlds into compliance through fear. After the Horus Heresy, a galaxy-spanning civil war, Curze retreated to a world called Sagwalsa, and built a palace decorated with the still-living bodies of his victims. When the Emperor sent a Calidus assassin named Amshan to kill him, Curze saw her coming before she even entered the system. He had precognitive visions. He knew exactly when and how she would arrive. So he dismissed every single one of his guards, all of them, left the palace completely undefended, then he sat on his throne and waited for a regular human woman to walk through his empty hallways and cut his head off. His final words were about vindication. He died to prove a philosophical point that the Emperor was a hypocrite who used fear and assassination just like Curze did. The problem? The Emperor wasn't there, wasn't watching, wasn't listening. Curze committed suicide by assassin to win an argument with a man on a life support throne several star systems away who almost certainly didn't care. A demigod who could have killed Amshan by blinking too hard chose to die, making a point nobody heard. Amshan then stole his crown and jewelry on the way out. The Night Lords found his headless body and were reportedly more upset about the stolen accessories than the dead Primarch. They splintered into competing warbands and never reunited. 10,000 years later, they're still arguing about who's in charge. Number 2. Ferrus Manus. The Primarch, whose entire philosophy was eliminating weakness, died because of his own weakness. The irony is so thick you could forge a sword from it, which is fitting because that's basically what Ferrus would have wanted. Ferrus Manus the Gorgon was Primarch of the Iron Hands Legion. His name literally means Iron Hand. He had actual hands made of living metal from killing a massive metallic worm called Azernoth on the world of Medusa. His entire philosophy was strength through discipline. Purge the weak, cut away what fails, iron over flesh. Every sermon, every doctrine, every decision came back to one idea: weakness is the only real enemy. At the Dropside Massacre on Istvan V, the defining ambush of the Horus Heresy, Ferrus's best friend, Fulgrim, had betrayed the Emperor. Ferrus was so consumed with rage at the betrayal that he charged directly into the traitor lines, ahead of his entire legion, ignoring the tactical advice of brother Primarchs Korax and Vulcan, who were both telling him to slow down and coordinate. He outran all support, got surrendered when 4 supposed loyal legions revealed their treachery, and Fulgrim, now wielding a demon-possessed blade, beheaded him. Ferrus Manus was the very first Primarch to die in the heresy, not in some grand last stand, not holding a vital position. He died because he threw a tantrum and sprinted into a trap that anyone thinking clearly would have seen. The Emperor's reaction when he found out? Basically, skill issue. He called it clumsy and said he'd maybe get around to fixing it later. He has not gotten around to it. Fulgrim mounted the severed head on Horus's throne as a decoration. Horus would talk to the skull during quiet moments, complaining that he had murderers and tyrants for generals instead of rational men like Ferrus. The Iron Hands developed a chapter-wide trauma response, obsessively replacing their flesh with cybernetics out of shame that their gene father, Mr. Purge the Weakness, had been killed by the most basic weakness of all. He got angry and stopped thinking. Number 1. The Avatar of Khaine. Every other entry on this list is a character who died once in an embarrassing way. Our guy, the Avatar of Khaine, has made a career of it. The Avatar is supposed to be one of the most devastating entities in the galaxy. It's a towering construct of white-hot iron containing a fragment of Khaine, the actual Eldar god of war. The Eldar, that's an ancient alien race, summon it by sacrificing one of their greatest warriors. When it manifests, the ground melts beneath its feet. It wields a weapon called the Wailing Doom. It's supposed to be functionally invincible. On paper, almost nothing in the galaxy should be able to fight it. In practice, it exists to lose. Fulgrim strangled it during a diplomatic meeting. Strangled a white-hot metal statue that doesn't breathe. Lorgar, canonically the weakest Primarch in combat, killed one on a Crone world, and the text notes he almost pitied it. Marnius Calgar, a chapter master, not a Primarch, punched one to death with power fists. An orc battle wagon, essentially a ramshackle truck with guns welded to it, ran one over. The Legion of the Damned dropped a building on one when their guns didn't work. In the Dawn of War video games, Imperial Guard infantry can kill it. The pattern is so consistent that the community calls it the Worf effect, named after the Star Trek character who existed to get beaten up so other characters look tough. Need to establish a new Space Marine character as a badass? Have them fight an Avatar. Need to show Primarch is powerful? Avatar dies. Need to make a Tyranid swarm look threatening? Avatar gets swarmed before it can dramatically challenge the swarm lord to single combat. A fragment of a literal god of war, summoned through blood sacrifice, burning with divine fury, has become the galaxy's most reliable punching bag. Every time the Eldar summon one, the entire fanbase already knows what's about to happen. It's going to show up looking incredible, it's going to swing its legendary weapon, and then it's going to lose to whatever the author needs to look impressive that day. 10,000 years of getting summoned just to get embarrassed. Khaine might be the god of war, but his avatar is the god of taking L's. Well, that's the list. 6 deaths that prove even in a galaxy of gods and demigods, nobody's safe from looking ridiculous. Thanks for watching, and remember, in the grim darkness of the far future, at least check if it's a decoy first.